Hi, I'm Christine. Today we're looking at choosing neutrals that look great on you. Neutrals could include beige or taupe, the many shades of gray from icy gray to dark charcoal, and we'll think about the first two questions I ask myself when I'm working with neutrals, and they're different for warm and cool tones. I'm a person who values communication, and appearance is often the first way that we communicate with other people. So it's an area where I want to have a high level of literacy. But I also think of appearance as artistry, as choreographing the steps of a visual dance. So we learn the steps of the dance first, like we do today and in many of our videos. Then we're going to start connecting them together to create beautiful, meaningful presentation. Fashion neutral to me means doesn't contribute additional or specific color, like the trunk of a tree. The bark provides background and context and structure and meaning, essential parts of the presentation, but we don't register it as a specific color. Neutrals have less pigment, so we have some flexibility when we're choosing. Especially with cosmetics though, and also in the parts of an outfit, we want them to connect with the colors and with us. The key is that the colors are the source of the neutrals, and I'll show you what that means with color charts in a moment, so that the parts of the appearance, the parts of the wardrobe belong together rather than appearance as a collection of random or isolated parts. Ice, dove, rain cloud, asphalt, pewter, black. You could find them in this image. You could also position them in order on what you might call a grayscale, divided in 8 or 10 steps. Each season has their own light to dark range. It starts here and it ends here on a scale like this. There's no color or neutral that goes with everything or everybody. It doesn't exist. And same as you wouldn't call a furniture store and say, yeah, I need some furniture. I'm going to go with gray. So just send over anything you got because gray goes with everything. You know, you got to read the room. And when it comes to choosing clothing and cosmetics, you're the room. But because they have less pigment, we could imagine a similar gray couch going pretty well in a room painted similar shades of blue. Sky blue, lake blue, and darker Atlantic blue. They have enough in common that they will accommodate or make sense of the same kind of gray. Let's talk about color palettes for a moment because we're going to apply them in our conversation today. I appreciate firsthand that hearing, yes, you're this season and here is your palette of 60 or 90 colors, and now go into the world, go shopping and make all these changes. And you may say, well, like, where do I start this journey towards a closet or a person? I cannot even imagine. And that where do I start question is actually what this channel is all about. I'm not a color theorist. I don't have better than average color vision. I don't need to, and neither do you, because we got a system that can identify the actual colors in human beings, that can organize, classify them into cohesive groups, that color analysts can identify or place each human being into their group, and that people can go out and replicate in the real world or apply it. Like, I don't want to make up my own workouts or my own recipes. I want to follow someone who has a good way of thinking about it and then follow them. It's like Warren Buffett said, you don't need the biggest engine if you got the most efficient one. Being able to hold my colors in my hand and compare them to things when I buy stuff gives me a much better way to think about choosing colors. So if we were going to pixelate the colors in my face, I'm a dark winter person, this is what we'd have. I use the Sci ART based color palettes because they tick all those boxes that we talked about. And you'll find them at TCI, True Color International, NDU Colors in the United States. Links will be below. Gorgeous products, beautiful selection of products. So you have the fan open palettes, big and small. You have posters. I like working with fabric. It's why I love doing these videos with actual clothes. It's like in the drapes and in the fabric sets. One reason is because You see the same color in 4 different kinds of fabric, it's like 4 different colors. Like you cook with the same food in 4 recipes, it's like 4 foods. Or you do the same exercise 4 different ways, fast, slow, explosive, heavy. It's like it multiplies, it's like 4 different exercises. So I kind of like that, you know. This is when, with the fabric, I can see the theory and the charts and the artistry come to life. As we mentioned, and many of us probably know, and I'll be honest because I'm always honest, neutrals are trickier to put into seasons. This isn't really the place to start. The colors are the place to start with this harmonizing that we talk about in our videos. Well, of course, the flip side of having less pigment is that they fit into more seasons rationally, which is as much a good thing as a complexity thing. But you don't have to be particularly fussy. And you can buy kits with your neutral colors or your fabric sets. And I think for me, with the neutrals especially, this was the one concrete step that moved me forward more than any other. We've looked at white and black already. We've looked at choosing your best navy blue. We've looked at blue jeans for your coloring, and I'll put the links in the description box. Panels today made in your style. Links will be again in the box below so that you can follow them for shopping information or on my website within a couple of weeks in a blog post along with the script so you can follow along at your speed. We're focusing on the cool seasons today. So we have a lot less pigment in winter neutrals compared with a lot more pigment in their colors. Opposite of summer that has less pigment in the colors and more pigment in the neutrals. It's kind of how the brain finds visual balance in what it sees. We had said that I start with 2 questions, whether it's a color or a neutral. The first one is the color inside the light to dark range for that color family for your particular season palette? I mean, we might as well start with the easy question with the highest odds of being right. Get that out of the way, and we're pretty good at estimating light to dark value, especially when we have a color to compare to, like the similar swatch in your color palette. Sometimes you can eliminate a color or a neutral on that alone, and sometimes not. Well, that's fine. What do we do next? We never have to have the answer until we're ready to have the answer. All we got to know is, what are we going to do next? Next question. Can I see a color in it? If yes, it's often summer. As your eyes sensitize, many of you may look at the winter colors coming up and see color in them, and that's totally fair. But relative to summer, you might agree that it is less color than what you see in the summer neutrals. So here you can see a color, and you feel pretty confident what the color is. Gray violet, ash violet, amethyst gray, grayish something. When there's less pigment, it's harder to tell the color. Could happen when a color is very light, why white is really very challenging to work with, I think. Or maybe it's a winter neutral that really does have less pigment. That's how those work. Also harder to tell when color is dark, because at some point the darkness becomes more important than the pigment. So with this tank top, I look to see if it's in the light to dark range for that shade in both summer and winter palettes. Yeah, in both actually. So that's not going to help us with this item. I'm still not sure about the amount of pigment. Is it winter, is it summer, or which color it contains? Starting to think I can see blue, maybe some green or some violet in the gray. But if this were a winter neutral, well, a single swatch could look like this, like a very light gray. So that's not going to help us with the elimination. Okay. If we could see white highlights, that would move it more to winter because it gives a metallic effect, aluminum, stainless steel. But summer can have a diffused silvery shine. You wouldn't eliminate a season based on shine. A big component of shine is the actual color. And so this is plausible for summer and winter. Overall impression, I'm moving more towards summer. If I look for this color in a summer palette, I can find a very close match. The more I look at that dot, the more blue-green it looks. And in a winter palette, I'll find similar, but not as close. They're lighter or yellower or greener, much closer match in the summer. And in our conversation about color palettes, It is very useful, if it is difficult for you to tell summer from winter, to own the full-size summer palette and then one of the smaller versions for winter. It might be a wallet size card. It might be a 4x6 poster, just something so you have that winter reference point. Tremendously useful even to have a little checkerboard of colors like we saw in my pixelated face. Just lay it on the fabric and oftentimes you'll see it right there. How are we going to figure this out? By doing what we always do next. We compare to colors that we know are summer or winter, like the wallet card or the poster we were just talking about. Comparing with white is good. It can make the color component more visible. The problem with white is that because white reflects a lot of light, it is more affected by surrounding lighting. I like white and black together. The first thing I registered, it's actually not about the color of the tank top, it's that it could not participate in this outfit. Like you couldn't wear it with the black pants. It would be hard to see. It would have no presence and the black would dominate. What if we had like another fabric for the gray, like satin? Well, we'd have to try it. But if those black pants were black jeans, I think we'd be in the same situation. The combination looked the same. Every season wears matte fabrics fine in the right colors, and I don't think this gray would balance black. We said earlier that the colors are the source of the neutrals. What holds a look together. So in the lower left-hand corner, you can see where the gray color is coming from in the color chart. Do you see it there? It's a little white circle in the upper right-hand corner. Little white circle. It's near the gray scale, the white to black edge, way over on the left. But it's not in it. It's still over a ways, meaning there's still some color pigment in it. I could find many summer colors in the more pigmented levels, moving in the middle ranges, but the winter colors are over in the very pigmented versions, way over on the right-hand side, the higher saturation colors. Well, that makes sense. Summer and winter are both cool seasons. It makes sense they're going to have the same source colors or similar. We'll go back to this tank top, but we're going to switch our attention for a minute now that we know some basics to just compare big picture summer and winter grays. Summer side's on the left, winter's on the right. First column, over on the summer side, there's a gray with a distinctive blue cast at the top, followed then by two with a sandy pink wash. We see the color, we choose summer. Second column in summer. First, the top two grays are similar. The top one with the ruffle straps, soft reflectivity, seems to belong with the other colors in this summer group. Next one down with the V-neck though. It's lighter, has a whiter reflectivity, and might be one of those crossover colors that could function in either palette, depending on what we're wearing. We'll talk about those. But in this summer group of 6, that would be the one that I think is a bit less belonging. The pants at the bottom, well, now you see the light pinkish sand wash that we find in summer. They balance the soft white blouse, what we can see of it, pretty well. But we also see how sharp or abrupt the black shoes are. And then compare that with the pants and shoes over on the winter side, top of the left column. Shoes are much more comfortable, balanced, cohesive with the pants. Maybe those pants could work for summer because they're not that winter so white it's blue. Doesn't look bleached exactly, but they would be at the lightness boundary for summer. So just bringing them closer to white makes them work better with winter. Next down, graphite gray sleeveless top. Makes me think of asphalt or iron. It's at or beyond the light to dark range for summer, and it contains a lot of black. It looks solid, it looks hard in density, and I would find it stark or severe, even for the darker summers called soft summers. Tank top, next one down, whiter reflectivity again. I think it fits into winter pretty well. You might look at that and say, well, it has a pink tinge. Wouldn't that make it summer? Or it's pearlescent in its shine. Wouldn't that make it summer? Totally makes sense. But I could picture it in an outfit with the graphite top above, whereas something would be off if I tried to combine it with the summer pants with the black shoes. The pink tinge in the top should help it work in a summer wardrobe, except there's not enough of it. and it is too light for the pinkish grays in the summer palettes. Right hand row for winter, top, basic gray t-shirt. By making it darker and removing some of the color pigment, meaning it's hard to see what is the color in that t-shirt, helps to balance it with winter, although I think in this group of 6 it would be the one. If it weren't some casual item, I'd probably move it over into the summer group. Next 2 items for winter, the cami and the ruffled skirt. Both hard to tell what the color component would be. Both look more like metals and minerals compared with summer, more of feathers or sand sensibility or density. All those analogies, I mean, they're not really data point specific ways of putting colors into season, but they help us visualize a big picture, how a color might participate in a whole. Because every color we add to a painting or our presentation, they all have a compounding effect with all the others. But it's awfully easy to divide our attention so that it's on every single individual detail, and the overall impression can be a little bit lost to us, and yet that's really where the value of color harmony in appearance is. We're back to our gray tank top, doing things we've done before. We're fanning out our color palette all the way, or you can take your poster, if what you have is a color poster, lay it on the fabric. We've done our flyover. Could be summer, could be winter, probably summer. Now we're going to look at specific color combinations. So an example here, summer on the left, the tank top and the lip gloss, the tank top and the jeans. Looks balanced to me, looks peaceful, looks agreeable. Everything shows up as much as everything else. On the winter side, you're looking at the jeans and the tank top, the jeans and the lip color. That lip color, anybody got a feeling of the tail wagging the dog? the tank top is the dog. I'm still choosing summer for the tank top. About that winter lip color, you may be thinking, well, okay, but if it were more sheer or transparent, then it would work better for summer. Yeah, it totally would. Diffusing or diluting the pigment density, but transparency is not a way to measure color. Meaning, if we were to add gray, that would soften the color and make it work better for summer. But adding a transparent element so that the color is less dense, more watercolor, it's going to be a different effect. And I think here there's too much pure red and dark blue and black in that lip gloss to work for a summer, not nearly as well as the soft pink and gray of the summer shade. We talked about crossover colors, the ones that could function in both wardrobes. Maybe there's not that many of them, and the better you get at this, the fewer of them there are, but that's okay. You start where you start. So we looked at light ones in picture number 4, where those very light ones could be okay in either one. Well, here's a darker one. So once a color or neutral is at a boundary between seasons, the lightest or the darkest ceiling, it's a harder call. This top is within the light to dark boundaries, ranges for summer or winter, but I think it's getting to the darker edge for summer. But, you know, it's in there and it does not have visible or obvious color pigment. So what are we going to do next? We're going to do what we always do. We're going to put them in a group. If I saw these combinations on a woman and her twin sister, each wearing one of these outfits in a restaurant, I think I'd be fine with both. There's balance in both. The winter side isn't draining color from the top. I don't think it would be invisible or have no presence. It looks pretty good to me. My goal isn't for us to be, or me, to be palette perfect. It's to wear colors that share enough with our coloring and one another to make those great connections, where your appearance becomes the steps of a visual dance. I'd probably pick a different pair of jeans for the summer person, just aesthetics, the way it's getting better the longer I look at it, but I still would probably pick a different pair of jeans. Maybe in the true summer or the darker summer ranges, the soft summer ranges. Matte textile in this top, marled effect, not quite reaching the sharpness or density, ice, metal, asphalt, graphite, coal. I don't really get that from this item. So Could see this for summer. If precision mattered to you, then I'd want to do some color comparisons with the garment in person before committing. I'm a softer, warmer kind of winter, dark winter, winter with autumn, more winter. I'd wear it. Better yet, if there were details that were true black, which is often found in synthetics or athletic wear, of which I wear a lot, or shiny elements, and shiny can be tarnished silver teapot. It does not have to be mirror, and that's another thing that can bring it closer to winter in those borderline outfits. Once the color moves outside the light to dark range for summer, and we have very little or no visible color pigment, we're probably into winter. See the position of the marker in the color picker, or you don't see it because it's way over in the grayscale and it's very near to the bottom. And I feel much more comfortable with choosing winter. Both the jeans, the shoes, and the cosmetic, that combination, the winter side is over on the right. On the summer side, with the summer outfit, the top with the jeans are awkward, and the top with the lip gloss, well, the lip gloss is kind of ineffective. I'm actually having to remind myself to notice it. Anyone notice that the nearer you get to the grayscale, like winter neutrals, the grays become yellowish or greenish? It's the same source color. You can see the red violet here that you see in all winter palettes. I don't know what that effective is if it's some relationship between red and green, something our eyes do. I don't think it's an optical illusion because it's in all the winter palettes. You see these yellow and green tones in winter neutrals. I've asked a few folks and they haven't really recognized it, so it might be just me. So it's just one of those things that I accept as, well, until new information finds me, I don't worry about seeing yellow or green tones in winter neutrals, because I got so much faith in the palette designer, who was Catherine Kalish, the founder of the Sci ART system, and I see these colors over and over look amazing on people. Many winter people also have very visible, very saturated yellow tones in the surface skin pigmentation or in the eyes, and I learned to disconnect that from the idea that the coloring is warm or that yellow tone is warm a long time ago. Usually those are cool tone people. Same with brown eyes. Not all, that can be cool or warm tone people, very variable, but you wouldn't make an assumption with brown eyes, warm season, not at all. More winter grays in the top and bottom rows. Thinking about the items in the middle row as to whether they would work in a winter wardrobe. Top row, first item, we saw that before in panel number 4, and said that with the light reflection and the closeness to white, this would be the item I thought would look better in a winter group than summer where I had it, and I still agree, I think it's better here in the winter group. Middle row, first item, light gray racer back tank top. Saw that in panel number 4, and it was the one that was in the winter side, and it had those pinkish tones, and we thought, well, pink tones, why wouldn't that be summer? I still like it for winter though, because there's just not enough pink in it. My reflex is, because we all got reflexes, is to see pink and blue and think summer. Green or gold and wonder about autumn. But this color's too near white, or the reflections could be made of metal, like it could look like an airplane. And a lot of folks might look at that and say, I don't see any pink in that. I see yellow or green. Those are like winter clues, and I can see it okay working with winter here. Next top over, cowl neck, more visible pink. I can find a color family in summer that has similar tones. I can pair it with summer colors to make a balanced outfit. But winter is dominating, trying to put a winter color with this. All you can see is the winter. So I'm going to go with summer. Do I wish it had more pigment and were a step darker? Yes. And then in every video, we meet the limits of my abilities. I got them too, that's okay. The flutter neck blouse, an example. Tennyson said, words like nature half reveal and half conceal the soul within. That is entirely true. So I try to think of words outside the application of fashion. First glance, well, it's a mushroom-ish brown. It's no pink or blue, which would move me towards summer. Has an elephant gray quality, and I see green like autumn, but earthy's not right. I don't get any kind of muted red, orange, or a desert color. olive, but it's too gray. There's not enough pigment to be olive. And then you got those green and yellow tones. I just couldn't imagine a spring wearing this. They got lots of green and yellow, but I don't see them wearing this. I'm reminded of an autumn-winter blended season. I can't project it with the Spice Market chili paprika colors of dark autumn in an outfit, and it looks too warm for dark winter. I could imagine a color like that in soft autumn, but if I picture it on the person, I don't get any kind of beauty or enhancement. So what's next in our process? Make combinations. And so I compare it with different colors in the seasons, and I guess I'm back in the soft seasons. And I invite and appreciate your thoughts, because my best answer is I don't know. I need another way to look at this, which is not in my toolbox at this time. No big, I just think this is me learning the steps of a dance. There's no risk. Either you leave it at the store or you buy it. And if you're going through your closet, you fold it up and you put it back in storage and you take it out in 6 months and think, well, it's so obvious to me. Why didn't I know this before? Well, because that's how learning works, I guess. Cable knit sweater. Has a touch of warmth, yellow or gold within the gray. Could say something similar about the tank top, third in the row above, but the tank top looks metallic. And I could pair it with items in the bottom row and have my attention divided pretty equally, but the sweater couldn't. You'd ignore that in a combination with winter colors. And even more with winter neutrals, and then even more with winter colors like dark fuchsia, bright blue. And then lower row, traditional winter neutrals with enough darkness, coolness, and pigment density to be very comfortable and recognizable in winter. I wanted to finish with a real-world situation. That fabrics can be dyed in colors that don't appear in human beings, like ultra-bright colors. Or another example might be colors that don't contain each of the primary colors, red, yellow, and blue, which I think human beings do. Thinking about those oranges that are all about yellow and red, they're too bright. They look artificial on everybody. And repeating myself, but this is one thing I admire very much about the Sci ART system, is the colors in the palettes are consistent or true to the colors that I see in human beings. Another situation of synthetic colors that seem to be uncooperative with every person that I know is when a color is made in a shine that is kind of illogical for the color itself, this fabric. The matte side would be absolutely soft summer, pinkish, grayish, sand color. Then it has this very shiny metallic finish. Well, metallics, any kind of shine, it changes with the color of incoming light. So that's kind of confusing. And then it has a little texture, like a little bit like grains of sand, let's say. So here you can see it on the soft autumn and soft summer palettes, or under them. I use the original Sci ART palettes. They're no longer available, but the products we mentioned are beautiful and gorgeous and diverse, and they work just fine. So why do I use these? I was a veterinarian for many, many years. And when I was in medical school, we would ask our professors, what's the best anesthetic? And always the answer was, the one you know how to use. Well, this is the one I know how to use. I look at all of them because I want our results, what I do, to jive with what you're working with, but these tend to be my bottom line. So here's an example then of working with actual palettes like you might do, and illustrating, well, let's just make her an outfit. So we get the strip with the most similar color first on the left, then a selection of reds, then a selection of greens. Very hard to photograph a shiny textile, but I hope that we get the idea. The shine's distracting in person too, very much so, but such is fabric reality, and I want to live in the world that you're living in and trying to make these choices in. I could definitely picture this, whatever season it is, as a lovely piece of jewelry though, a handbag, a sandal. Every person in a season is going to use every color in their palette in different ways. They're not, absolutely not, all big, large block areas. I mean, this might be somebody's rose gold bracelet. Between the two, overall big picture, I'm going to go with soft summer. in the strips that has the most similar colors, the first strip on the left. Neither one has an identical match. Soft Autumn, there's some similarity, but the Soft Autumn swatch, the palette, is way more pigmented than the fabric. In Summer, the fabric's warmer than the second dot from the end in the neutrals, but it's not unreasonable. You could slide the fabric into the strip and it would work okay. I don't think it'd be too disruptive. And there is some continuity with the pinkish gray and the sandy brown tone in the palette strip and in the fabric. We move over to the red strip. The Soft Autumn oranges, it looks too warm. If that were lipstick, it would be orange lips, which may be someone's taste. It just isn't mine. The two lightest levels are hard to see. They blur or they fade relative to the Soft Summer ones, where the sequence of colors in the strip, it stays together nicely. I can see the lightest colors. I can see the darkest colors. This is what I mean by your attention being evenly divided. And I could picture them as an elegant lipstick or together with the fabric above a necklace or with an eyeshadow in that color. And then the green strips, I'm having the same experience as with the reds. The lightest two levels of Soft Autumn are hard to see compared with how they appear pigmented and in focus in Soft Summer. And every color in the strip looks even and connected. They have a reason for being together in Soft Summer. Whereas in Soft Autumn, the two lightest swatches and the rest of the strip seem not to be part of the same season even. It's what I mean when I say to look at every color in the strip with the most similar colors. Don't just stop when you think you've got the best match fabric to swatch, single swatch in a palette. You're building a harmonious wardrobe and a harmonious you. And harmony means agreement between more than one thing, but sometimes many things. Could you see these effects though? I wanted to illustrate some of the things I talk about in our videos and some of the situations where you might find yourself in, but don't worry if you don't see it. This is not a you thing. I'm just not sure if it comes across on screens or if it is helpful to you, but if it is, please mention it in the comments and we can do more of it. A good set of working conditions makes a huge difference. Like, you never know how good you'd be at playing the guitar if all you got is a $10 instrument you picked up at a yard sale with one string missing. Then a friend hands you a great guitar and you think, wow, I'm a lot better at this than I thought I was. So for working with color, I use a neutral gray tablecloth. I buy them by the 4, yes, 4, at least it's not 40, at the dollar store. And I wait for a day with overcast daylight right around midday, and then I do my color thinking. Neutrals are foundational colors, and like foundation makeup, it's very hard to make progress or have an appearance come together when the foundation is off. Knowing your season, your colors, gives you an entry point into this big world of appearance and a center to hang on to when the never-ending winds of change blow on by. So you can finally go through the drawer or drawers of makeup that you really never wear. You only wore twice, but you don't want to get rid of because maybe one day new information will come along and these were the colors you should have been wearing all along. All that stuff goes away. You finally know what is true about your colors. That will always be true because your colors don't change as you get older. How you wear them might change, but your foundation colors, the colors in you, will not change. And I love getting questions answered so that they stay answered. Next time we're looking at the warm seasons, neutrals for autumn and spring. I look forward to seeing you there, and thank you so much for being here with me today.